Welcome to Hollywood in Hollywild Radio. Well, my little hometown of Mariposa has made the big papers. Yep, last week it was front page on the New York Times, the Los Angeles Times, and the Washington Times. We're burning. And so on today's show, we'll be next to the fire. Maybe that'll help everybody get with the program for basic human rights. The planet isn't warming anymore. It's hot. And it's dying. The Arctic permafrost is burning above the 66th parallel. Permafrost, the name of a reoccurring plant life that is frozen and buried by new growth every spring since forever, is on fire. History has no record of that ever happening before, or of the Great Northwest Passage being open for 7 months of the year. We're at fault, and we're the only ones that can fix it. You know, capitalism has shown what it's made of since the last election. Nothing has gotten better. It's worse, and it's going to keep getting worse and worse until we all stand up and say enough with our vote. That's when we all share with power. It's one of those true old school things that we do. We vote. It's powerful. We come together, and that's strong, and we speak all on one day and live by the consequences, which is why we have to concentrate on citizens that step up to serve and share their best, not their spare time because they're rich. You know, excessive wealth is a mark of greed, which has nothing to do with sharing. Any rich man who's called to politics is blatantly greedy, unless they completely divest themselves of all wealth while serving. You know, our government runs on our taxes. Us, you, and me. We pay for all of this. And the rich use every advantage to avoid paying anything. You know, people come together for one reason: to share. It has huge benefits, and it makes everyone's life better. Greed is a personal thing, and it only happens when we happen to come together and gather. In other words, the rich need the poor. If we all had basic human rights, would the rich still exist? I mean, why should we have a place in our society for greed anyway? It serves only the one, never the whole. Greed never shares. It is anti-society and anti-humanity, and it's anti-civilization. There's nothing heroic about being so rich you could never spend it all. I mean, this is a disgusting hoarding of resources. Greed is a character flaw. It has been throughout all of history. It's not a virtue. Greed will destroy a gathering of people for money and just leave when it's gone. The rich don't consume more per capita, and they use their money to avoid losing even a penny. But share? Don't be naive. The mega-rich aren't Homo sapiens anymore. They've mutated into something more like Homo narcissus avaricius, like a sci-fi killing parasite spawned from Homo sapiens that lives and walks with and among its food, feeding as they please. You know, ever-consuming avarice is why we're fighting a war on social media, because we have a government now that runs like a business, totally and completely. And it won't be available to the people for many elections in the future, and only then if those businessmen ruining our operating government now don't fool or trick or lie their way into a future where all countries are run like businesses and no longer serve the people, but the few, but still paid by the many. For them, right now is perfect. Yeah, they have access to a machine that they squeeze like a cash register and slop up unlimited profits that are our taxes. This was all predicted by science fiction, early mid-20th century. I mean, nowhere near enough people read sci-fi, or we'd have all seen this coming. The short version, it just gets worse and worse until there's, a few tribes that stayed far away from big cities. And, there's no good ending. I've been waiting for the war of ideas and perspective since I was a kid and I first read about it. But I figured it was like 500 years off because that's how long I thought it would take for everyone to get dumb enough to be played. Boy, was I wrong. But I planned for it. I didn't want to get caught then, and I don't want to get caught now. It's just a matter of time before I get contacted by the resistance. I dreamt of being a hero there, fighting against propaganda from the rich whose bottom line is profits because people are expendable. They breed and breed. Some of those early sci-fi books were brutal and vicious, especially to animals and, of course, women. Oh my gosh. Trust me. I've thought about this my whole life. Men are the weak link in humanity. It's true. The sooner women can do without them to procreate, they should do what humans have done best throughout history: genocide on all the males of the species. It's the only chance for humanity. I've looked at it gajillions of times. Men have ruined everything. Women aren't perfect, but when you compare them to men, they look flawless. Just look at the stupid stuff that has come out of the mouths of men in politics in the last 400 days. Yeah. See? Insane. Men should be, work animals until they learn a sense of otherness. Look, the idea of keeping track of debt for services or product was probably a woman's idea. It's fair, and it makes sense. Capitalism and making money off debt and then selling it and buying it back for less was some drunk guy's idea. A way of appearing to work without actually sweating or working in any way. We all have power, but we must be precise in how we use it, especially in war zones like social media. The war of ideas is complicated, sneaky, and full of booby traps. It's about the rope-a-dope, or the old switcheroo, or the blind side. It's about telling lies so well you want to believe it's the truth. There's a sucker born every minute, and we all get fooled till we get good at telling a phony argument that serves no other purpose but to get you mad and keep you that way. Mad people are useless. You ever get anything done while you were really mad and do a good job? I haven't. Even mopping a floor, the bucket spills because I remember something that made me madder still. Anger is a real-time suck. Of all the emotions, anger's the hardest to get rid of. Think about it. You can fall in and out of love in an instant. But anger? Oh no, you have to be coaxed into it. Led down a path, set up, and then cracked in the head from another direction, and then blamed because you didn't see it's your own fault. That's why it's hard to fight. You have to be a friggin' samurai ninja Einstein Hulk to escape unscathed from anger quickly. But that is the trick. And if you can get good at it, you can be invincible. This war was designed to get you to bleed out through your heart and soul while you're yelling at someone you're really mad at. It plays on every good quality humans have. Empathy, sympathy, injustice, lack of fairness, and on and on and on and on and on. We all know what's right and wrong. We just need to remember that we do. We need to work smarter, not harder. There's only one thing that can save a soul drowning in a syrup that thick, and it's having a superpower called critical thinking. And a handful of that, and you can Sherlock Holmes anything. Business has done a lot of good stuff accidentally while it chased profit, but now we, as individual soldiers, connected by our desire to gather together as a group and be stronger and have advantages of strength, need to stand up as individuals and act like the heroes our kids and dogs believe us to be. Today, we're going to talk to a member of the press. Yeah, she's a friend I made in high school who joined the Army like me, but then went on to become a reporter, journalist, author, and badass woman that has done things, seriously, I do not have the guts to do. Her name is Susan Katz Keating, and she writes for the biggest and most controversial publications in the world, and she is really cool. I've been dying to bring her on the show, and she's reported on wars, so I know she'll have great ideas about the war of information and perspective that we are engaged in now. Plus, I contacted Miles Knight, the guy that was on a couple of shows ago. You remember him. Remember that insanely delicious music that made of sound effects that reflects our sort of new dystopian world so perfectly? Well, I got him to chat for a few minutes, so we're going to have a conversation with him before he heads off to art school. You know, the youth of today is one of my most cherished hopes, especially for those headed towards careers in the arts. And your hope will be revived after listening to this great conversation I had with Miles Knight. This is KRYZradio.org, 98.5 LPFM. This first song by Miles Knight from Jake Arsenic 2C-M EP2 is called Escapade, Money Raid. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good.
Good.
Let's just roll into it. Miles, thanks for being on Hollywood and Hollywild today. I really appreciate you making some time for us.
Of course.
Now, I found you through Eric, who you took guitar lessons from. Is that right?
I think, I did a while ago. I must have been in middle school. Like hour-long guitar lessons. He would just like come over to my house and work on stuff that like I was interested in. And it was definitely very helpful. He's been a good mentor.
Yeah. How did you end up like getting turned on to music?
I've kind of always been playing. I think just because like my dad has always been playing music around the house.
Oh, your dad is a musician too?
Yeah, he plays bass. He used to play bass in a band called Suncatcher. They're pretty cool.
Cool.
But he would always play, music around the house, and it was always like interesting things like Beck, or like, and I mean, he would play so many different things that I think it just kind of turned me on to the energy in the first place. So I started getting into drums, and I would just kind of like bang on things all day. And I actually asked for a guitar, and then it just kind of led up to getting equipment, and then finally I had like a stereo system and a computer, and then I got a digital audio workspace, and it's just kind of like the normal story of like just kind of growing up with music and then collecting more things to express yourself through.
Okay, that's really cool. Well thought out. How do you describe the music that you sent me a couple of weeks ago, and then I'm going to feature the 4 songs that you sent me again on today's show? How do you describe it?
I would say there's definitely the word that I like is dystopian. I imagine a lot of big structures visually, a lot of like dark, giant buildings, dystopian worlds. Like overcast. It's dark. It's very noisy too. There's a lot of noise elements. I use a lot of field recordings and screeching sounds of gates closing, whole bunch of things. But I would just say it's experimental.
Yeah, it's very, it's very, very interesting. So you do you do your field recording yourself?
Yeah, I just like it's really like not that hard nowadays. I mean, I just use my iPhone sometimes.
Interesting.
I use an AKG C214.
Yeah, I know that mic.
Yeah, it's like an overhead for drum.
Right.
I've recorded there's just like the main one that I really like is it's this really, really obnoxious chair that's like outside of a grocery store near my house, and it's so loud and it'll like pierce your ears if you start twisting it back and forth.
Oh, that's
So that's the one that's in like every one of my songs.
Really?
I create the atmosphere.
Yeah.
For a lot of it.
When I first heard your music, I really it definitely has that very cinematic kind of groove, and it makes sense now that you understand the groove so well because your dad plays bass.
Yeah, I think so too. I think there's always been kind of like a fundamental, and a lot of the rhythm aspect of that has to do with drumline. In high school, I did drumline, which was in like really, really, it was very clockwork and elementary in the rhythm aspect of things. It was very, you had to be very, very precise. And once you get kind of like that, the feeling of being that tight inside of the pocket, it kind of sets the drive going.
Yeah.
For the rest of all your music.
Yeah, it really does. Okay, thanks for sharing that stuff about your music. Now, you're 19 now, is that correct?
I'm 18.
18, okay. So I find this even more interesting because, first of all, you're kind of hooked up into something that could really take you a long way in life, and certainly the disciplines alone are so valuable. But because you're younger than me by a few years, I wanna ask you what you think of social media.
Oh, I don't know. I see it being used in a lot of different ways. There's the most one way that it's being used. I don't know if I really have that many opinions, but there's one way that's it's being used a lot is kind of like an emotional health or a mental health outlet.
Yeah.
Where people have like these separate accounts where they're just kind of like dedicated to it's not even really about the pictures. It's just like random pictures of something in their life. Like it'll be just like them like sitting at their computer, and then like the description will be like, today I did this, and like I had like a wonderful time, and I haven't done that in so long, and like I'm so proud of myself. And just like
that's cool.
I think like the emotional. There's so many different aspects to it. So that's like the more like Instagram side of it. I think Instagram is more of an emotional outlet.
Yeah.
Facebook, I don't use Facebook anymore just because it's just kind of cluttered and it just kind of is distracting.
Interesting.
There's too many like ads, and there's way too many. I think there's just too many things going on.
Yeah, we've been talking about it on the show a lot lately, and we've been talking about how maybe our elections have been stirred up in a bad way because somebody was banging the hornet's nest while we were doing it. They were stirring up both sides of the argument, and it's interesting because it doesn't sound like you spend that much time on social media except for the things that you're really interested in, which are things that sound like they're more positive than the stuff that I have to wade through. But I was just curious. So what's next for you now, Miles?
I don't really know. I'm gonna just kind of wait things out. I'm still doing stuff consistently. I'm still making music.
Excellent.
Obviously, I'm gonna be going to CalArts next year for music.
I tried to go there when I was younger.
Nice. It's a cool place.
Yeah, it's a really cool place. It's a really cool way to do a curriculum. It's very artist oriented. By the way, did you do the cover art for 2C-M?
That's by Leroy Winter. He is a friend of mine who goes to Chicago Art Institute.
Interesting. Yeah, because I was like, yeah, this artwork is just completely off the hook, and it so represents kind of the audio of what is behind it.
Yeah, I really did ask for something that was kind of chaotic, and I didn't really know how to commission him, but I just said, something that's very dark, black and white.
Yeah. Yeah, super cool art. Well, thank you so much for spending time with us today, Miles. Maybe we can check back with you after you've been up at CalArts and you've got something else that you want to share with us on the show. I would get a really, really big kick out of it, and I would like to stay connected with you. I think you.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think you're. You should maybe start pitching your stuff to some TV shows. Just some extra money while you're going to school at CalArts.
Yeah, I would love to begin.
Yeah, your music it definitely fits under that category of cinematic dystopian sort of insanity. The thing that you bring about to your music is that groove, even when you change beats, is kind of like ever present. It's you got a real good thing going on there, Miles. You don't stop.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on, and we'll hear back from you soon. Yeah,
that'd be great.
Cool.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Because you went 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then clapped, and because you started on 5, I thought we were going on 1, so we have to do it again.
Yeah. Do you want to hit it on 1 and do the same thing? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. That's funny. 5, 4, 3, 2.
That's okay. I can fix that.
Did that work or no?
Yeah. Because the weird thing is I remember the exact distance of the slap, the distance between the two slaps, and I know that I jumped the gun and clapped first, and I'll be able to make the adjustment.
Oh, okay, cool, man. Yeah, you know what you're doing.
Plus each time we do that, it's another chance of getting it right. All right, so Eric, nice to have you back on the show.
Yeah, Dave, how you doing? How's it going?
I'm doing pretty good. The fires are almost under control. They're 39% contained.
Yeah.
But the smoke was really bad this morning. I got up at 7 o'clock and it smelled like there was a fire in my house.
Oh God, I've been reading about it and seeing it online. It looks. How many? 8,000 guys? 9,000 guys?
There's like 9,000 personnel on this fire alone. And quite frankly, and California has the money, we should have had 18,000 guys on it. Our forests are important. We need to do controlled burns regularly during non-fire season so that the forest is healthy, because it takes care of that self by itself. Mm-hmm. And we're, us not letting any fires happen stops the forest from being healthy. So, But we're here to talk about Miles Knight.
Yeah, man, the talented next generation.
This phenom, yeah. And he's such a nice guy. You know, we listened to a little interview with me and him earlier, and he's a sweet guy.
Yeah.
You know, his dad plays bass. He's a great musician, and so he's got that sort of veteran groove.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And he's not 19.
He's 18.
He's 18.
Is he?
He's 18. Yeah. He's 18. He's getting ready to go to art school. I told him he should start pitching TV shows.
Yeah, I know.
Extra money while he's going to school.
Which those new tracks that he just sent you. Yeah, I love them. I love Soma.
Yeah.
Soma.
And this is an EP off the last EP, which was called 2C-M, Miles Knight's EP. It was called EP1, and this is 2C-M EP2, Jake Arsenic.
Yes.
I love that name. He comes up with great names for the songs. Listen to the name of these songs. The first song that we're going to hear is called Escapade, Money Grid. Okay.
I know.
You know? Okay. And the second song is called Hive, which was completely different than I was expecting, you know? I mean, I did, remember we did that essay and we talked about the bees when I had the wasps.
Fantastic. Yep.
And, so I was all ready for this, you know, this like crazy buzzing thing. No, it's not the way he saw it. And I love his perspective on everything. It's just such great. He's got such a great groove. And then the third song, which was the song that you said you really liked,
the Soma. Yeah, Soma.
Soma. Yeah, and I really liked it too. It's he can be just absolutely penultimately grandiose cinematic.
Yeah.
And then he can do these really groovy, it's like ambient. What were you saying?
Yeah, ambient, kind of just soundscapes that. It just sounded like at the end you're like across the street from a bus, idling on an empty, desolate street.
You know, and then I asked him to describe his work, and he said one of the favorite descriptors of his work that he liked was dystopian.
Totally.
And you know, but I had to point out to him, I was like, you know, usually dystopian is like, you know, zombies, you know, and everything's crazy and there's no sanity. I was like, your music has form and shape, and it's not. There's no period of time where I feel like I'm lost and I can't get back to reality. Mm-hmm. And I didn't use those words, but I mean that's kind of the idea behind it. Because you know sometimes you hear stuff that's so progressive that you almost can't listen to it.
Yeah.
I mean, Zappa kind of was like that in the beginning.
Yeah,
remember?
certain parts of Zappa. I love Zappa. I saw him twice actually in the 70s when I was in high school, and you probably saw him, I'm sure. He was amazing. But yeah, there was a period when it just got too. Well, Zappa got cynical. That's a problem.
And he got cynical because he started talking to intellectuals that were propping up capitalism for what we're going through now. And then the last song, which is another great, you know, this kid's got a great sense of words, Leviathan.
Yeah.
And it is very Leviathan. It's big. It's
big.
gigantic.
It's massive.
Yeah, it's huge. It's like out of control giant. You know, it's like Godzilla big.
Yeah, he should be doing soundtracks. He will be.
Yeah, soundtracks and films, scoring films. I mean, I could just see this guy just tearing films apart, you know, especially for people like Guillermo del Toro and, you know, a lot of those great Spanish and Latin directors.
Yeah.
And,
he'll meet kids, and I told him, I said, when you get to Cal Arts, you know, check out there's going to be filmmakers, and you know.
Yeah, because you want to hook up with those guys because you
Yep.
never know where people are going to be in life.
Yep.
You know, I mean, I remember the first intern that I got to deal with in voiceover back in the 90s.
Yeah.
Now he's a big producer.
Yep. That's how it is. That's how it goes.
You know, I mean, and he was just getting everybody coffee.
Yep.
And we're still good friends because I always treated him like a person. I mean,
Yep.
I always do, you know.
Yep.
Come on.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's been pretty exciting. So you've been playing, you've been practicing, or you just summertime with the kids?
Kids playing guitar at night, writing for sure. I'm gonna get together with Aiden in September. Remember the guy?
Oh,
Remember?
sweet.
So we're gonna write a bunch more stuff for you. You'll hear it. I think we're gonna do that in September, October.
And you got to ask Aiden too for some more tunes with other people.
Oh yeah, he's amazing.
We love him.
He's
great.
amazing. So I'll get in touch with him. He's in Asia right now for a month, but he'll be back.
Yeah, and then we can swing back and hit those girls again too.
Yep. Oh, you got great music, man.
Yeah,
And
so exciting.
I know Miles is excited to be throwing music your way. So
Yeah, that's, you know, and I told him to keep his eye out. Let me know if somebody else comes along.
That's great.
As signature sound as he does.
Oh.
All right, well, thanks, Eric.
Yeah, man.
This next song is called Hive, and the first song that you heard was called Escapade Money Grid.
Hey.
That's better, isn't it?
Oh, much better. Okay, yeah. That slapback is weird.
Yeah. Somehow I managed to call two numbers at the same time from my computer, so it's always there's always some kind of weirdness thing. But the rest of this works really well. I've been using it for all the shows. and the interviews sound pretty cool. How have you been?
I've been good. I've been writing like a maniac.
Good for you.
So,
and you're writing journalism stuff, or are you working on a book, or
both. So like, what I do is I carve out my morning. That's my my creative time.
right?
So that's when I work on the book, and then I have a little lunch, and then after lunch I do the journalism.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, Susan, let's just roll into the interview. I went to high school with you, and then did you also serve in the military?
I did. I was in the Army.
You were in the Army. Okay, so was I. I was in the Army too. Did you go into the Army right out of high school? No, you went after college, right?
No, sort of in the middle of college.
Oh.
I was seeking adventure, so I just I went to college, and then I decided, I'm going to do the Army because I wanted to go in and rescue soldiers. So I joined the Army, and then got out.
Wow. And continued with writing.
Nonstop, yeah.
And did you always kind of know that you were going to be a writer?
Yes, and literally from the time I was about, I think 5, when I was learning how to write, and I made my own little books. I wish I had those still,
Wow.
but I used to write stories all the time, and I just knew I'm going to be a writer when I grow up.
That's so exciting. What was your first journalist job?
Oh, gosh. Well, do you count freelancing, or do you count like a
definitely.
job?
Yeah, no, freelancing, any kind of, if it was published in anything, that's what I'm talking about. What was the first time that happened?
Well, it started in high school. Remember, I was on the Poly Spotlight.
that's-
I used to write the editorials.
That's
And
right.
then from there, I would just find things to write, and I'm trying to think where my first sale was. You know what? I think it was to the Sacramento Bee. I did a story about a horse riding school where people
Right.
lived at this school, and the Bee turned it into their the front page of their lifestyle section.
How
And I just
exciting.
thought that was the coolest thing in the world.
For real.
I thought, you got to be kidding me. I wrote this story, and they put it on the front of the section. So there was no turning back. I just galloped great guns from there, and then started specializing in, national security and, well, really, war and warriors.
Yeah, you became a war correspondent. And you still write for the Soldier of Fortune magazine?
I just had something come out in them, yes.
Yeah. Lately on the show, we've been talking about the fact that social media has turned into a war zone. What are some of the things that you thought about when you went in country? And you went by yourself. That's called being, what's it called, Susan? Lone Ranger?
Yeah, I don't do this at home, kids.
Yeah.
Really, don't do this. This was in the days before the embeds.
Uh-huh.
And, we just went places. And I had grown up partially in Ireland and, knew a lot about the scene there and, and the history and what was behind the Troubles. And it was a very complex situation. And I went into Northern Ireland on my own just to report on the Troubles, sort of at the height of all of this.
Mm-hmm.
So I went in just by myself, which I would not recommend anyone do, but I'm glad I did it.
And you got a lot of good work out of there, too. It paid off.
I did. I had some pretty hairy moments, but yes, I think it did pay off.
You know what it's like to be on social media, and you know what I'm talking about. What are some great reporting tips that we can ask ourselves when we see things that maybe there's part of it that, I don't know, do you get a feeling when you come up against a story, when you hear something you go, that doesn't sound, or how do you get started? How does it get going?
It's actually very difficult because, as you know, the stuff comes out so fast.
Yeah.
And it's a constant boom, boom, boom. So you're bombarded with it. And I actually was in that situation yesterday where I saw a tweet that to me gave a really alarming tip about a vessel in the Gulf, a spy vessel. And I looked and I thought, okay, is it plausible? Yes. Is it likely? Yeah, maybe. Is it true? I don't know. And I had a contact who is able to look up coordinates and he's able to track ship movements and what have you. And he's able to say, yes, this ship actually is in this very dangerous spot, but it's been there for quite some time. So the fact that it's being tweeted about now tells you more than the fact that the ship is there. So I think what you have to do is when you read these things is just say, okay, yes, it looks true. Yes, it sounds plausible. But is it? And I'm talking across the board on all sides, left, right, everybody in between. All of the social media stuff it's geared toward creating an effect and a reaction and a response. And you just have to read it not just with your eyes, but with your gut. You have to feel it and say, all right, what is the purpose of this message? And what is the intent? And what is the proof?
Right.
It's hard to do. I mean, you really have to pay attention.
Yeah. What are some experiences that you've had where you found out what was actually happening was completely different from, what you thought was happening? I mean, that happens to me all the time, but...
No, I was going to say, in journalism or in life, yes, it has happened. It's so often. I think probably the first thing that springs to mind is back in the 80s. Do you remember when all the news reports were coming out about live prisoners of war still being held in Vietnam?
Yeah.
And all these, photos came out and these really alarming stories. And I was a reporter covering national security at the time at the Washington Times in Washington, D.C.
Mm-hmm.
And I was, very aggressive and very ambitious and also really devoted to the soldiers because, I'm a veteran. My dad was a veteran.
I know MIAs too.
Right. And I thought, what? I'm going to find these missing soldiers. And I just jumped into it. I did a deep dive, and Soldier of Fortune was also doing the same thing. We were going to find these missing men, and we were going to bring them home. And gradually over time, every really hot lead that I chased turned out to be a scam or a hoax. And the ultimate purpose of it was to get someone to pay money to a middleman. They say, find a family member, and if you're missing father or your husband is actually very sick, is being held in a cave, and needs medicine, we can get it to him, but we just need like $20,000.
Right, because the medicine's really expensive.
Money?
Yeah, of course, you'd give it in a second for
but
anybody.
Over time, I came to actually believe the opposite was true, and then I wound up writing a book about it. That I believe that yes, after the war, men did remain behind, but that they could not survive.
Yeah.
From the end of the Vietnam War.
What's the name of that book, Susan?
It's called Prisoners of Hope, Exploiting the POW MIA Myth in America.
I remember
and it was published by Random House.
Yeah, I remember it. How many books have you written now?
I sort of lost track. I've lost... Well, see, I wrote 4 books for young readers, and then I rewrote a couple of books for young readers, and then I've written chapters in other books. So last August, there was a big coffee table retrospective on Vietnam, and I wrote 3 chapters for that.
Wow.
And then I, have written other books, but I guess 4, I'd say, is a good round number, and many more that have not been published.
And just loads of journalism, and I mean, but you've also been recognized by the White House for your journalism, haven't you?
Well, I have, but also by the Military Reporters and Editors Group as well, which I'm an officer for.
Wow. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So can you tell us a little bit about what you're working on now, or do we have to just wait?
I'm doing a memoir of the very early days with Soldier of Fortune.
Oh, very cool. I bet you there's some really good adventures that you're going to share in there.
We did some really crazy stuff, and you couldn't duplicate it now. You honestly couldn't. You couldn't get away with it.
Right.
Right. But we did some crazy stuff.
Is that some of the stuff that I saw some pictures of you a few years back, hanging out with a bunch of gnarly dudes, and is that the kind of stuff you're going to be talking about?
Yes,
yeah.
It is.
Oh my gosh, you
is.
look like you're hanging out with like SEAL Team 6 or Special Forces group that nobody knows about, or they all look like intense dudes that live by the sword, as it were.
But they're so cool though. They really
Yeah.
are. They're totally awesome dudes.
Yeah, real soldiers always are, and the best soldiers do anything to avoid going to war, but they're nobody to go to war against.
That's right.
Yeah. So, and through all of this incredible profession of yours, you raised 3 beautiful girls, right?
Thank you. Yes, I have 3 daughters, who I'm very proud of.
Yeah, they're pretty remarkable looking girls, and they're similar to you in that I see them doing things that one typically doesn't see girls doing. They're not there. They have your same boldness, and they're not. They seem very unafraid of life, and
they are fearless. Yes,
Yeah.
I will say that about them.
very adventurous, like their mom. So you're working on the memoir. That sounds really interesting. How's that going? Do you expect to have it published soon? How are you close? What?
I'm elbow deep into it,
Okay.
and I wish I could say yes, I'm super close, but
Not yet.
But not yet. My biggest challenge right now is, I don't know if you find this, but when I spend hours writing, I get very cramped. So
Yeah.
I have to learn to pace myself.
Take regular
Because
breaks.
my inclination is exactly get up at 6 in the morning and fire up the laptop and stop when it's dinner time, and I have to really make myself stop.
Yeah, that's critical. I learned that the hard way when I was painting for so many years. I would just stand up in front of a canvas and paint for 14, 16 hours a day. And after a couple of years of that, it started taking a really, really bad toll on my neck and my shoulders and back. And I realized I had to start learning how to take breaks. So then my new habit was taking breaks. And, about once every 45 to 55 minutes, I will stop and completely take a break. And then after every 4 to 6 hours of work like that, then I'll take a solid, complete break and play like a video game or something that's completely bizarre I'll do, or that is not using the same skill set that I'm working with. And that keeps it fresh. Then I can go back, I can get another 3 or 4 hours that day if I have to. And
But do you have a hard time remembering to take the break?
No. This is Soma from the EP Jake Arsenic 2C-M by Miles Knight. Yeah, I just, I've been thinking about all this vitriol that pours out in social media and how we just touch anger and we pass it on and, oh, here, read this. This is going to make you really angry. And, there's no solution, or it would be really great if we did blah-de-blah because I read this and it made me feel so bad. That would be a much better, thing to pass on than, oh, this is really going to piss you off, and I just felt like, when I was in the military, I did a bunch of stuff that I needed a clearance for. And, you learn how to deal with documents and stuff like that. And you learn how to deal with, making sure that you keep your mouth shut. And you learn how to, all these things about security and all these things about going out into an area that you think is safe but might not be safe. And so how to watch yourself, and I started thinking about, when because I'm in the same kind of boat that you are right now, Susan. I'm riding my little took us off. I'm not spending time
Good for
on
you.
Yeah, I'm not spending time on social media anymore. Not like I was. And so now when I'm actually on there, I have sort of a heightened awareness. I'm thinking about, I get prepared before I go on to Facebook. I'm like, I'm not going to get riled up. I'm not going to get angry. If I get angry, I'm going to get off. I'm going to, go someplace else. I kind of stay on alert a little bit. I'm always ready for an attack. I have plans for engagements, like if people start bothering me about this subject, I'm just going to say this or, I have a plan for ingress and egress and, I manage my exposure. And I feel like, that's kind of like what we all need to do with everything. And I don't know. I think it'll make a better citizenry, don't you?
I would hope so. And, it's interesting what you say about having the plan because, I don't know, maybe a year ago, I didn't have a plan. I would just go on social media just to check it.
Yeah.
And the next thing you know, I can feel it. My face feels hot. I feel tense. I'm angry.
Yeah.
And it took me a while to figure out, okay, I don't have to read this. There's no life contract that says you are required to read social media for 3 hours a day, and you're required to comment every time you have an opinion. So it took me a while to dial it back and say, wait, what is this accomplishing? And it's not, for me, it's not accomplishing anything good. So like you, I have been really mindful about measuring and controlling my engagement. And sometimes I just like, you know what? I'm just not going to read it. Now, as a writer who's trying to, get my work out, I have to have a certain measure of like, okay, so I'm going to engage on certain subjects and others I'm just going to let it go.
Right.
Because for the media itself, I'm not going to read it. I don't need to know every single breathy development in every single issue. It's not that important.
Yeah, it's a way of managing your exposure, and that's a really good form of self-protection,
Well, it's necessary, and I think we all need to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Well, listen, this has been really fun. Do you want to come back and do this again sometime?
I would love to.
Okay,
I
well,
love your show.
Yeah, that's good. And then we'll be able to keep track of what's going on with your memoir so that we can get a hold of it when it comes out.
Oh, I will eagerly keep you informed.
Okay, groovy. Well, Susan Katz Keating, thank you so much for coming on and sharing with us. You're such a hardcore chick. Oh my gosh.
Coming from you, my hero from high school days and beyond, I'm honored. Thank you.
Oh, I love you, sweetie. Oh, well, listen, and my best to your girls, my best to your family, and we will talk soon, and I look forward to anything that you write. I love the stuff from Soldier of Fortune. It's, back in the day, people used to talk about Soldier of Fortune in a sort of a derogatory way. And since I've been reading your articles, I'm like, this is not what people think this is. And I every time I learn a little bit of something new, and that tickles my brain like nothing else in the world. So thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for reading, and thank you for the lovely comments.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Susan Katz Keating, she's going to be coming back. Our war journalist, reporter, hardcore adventurous. Susan, thanks.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Hugs.
This is KRYZradio.org, 98.5 LPFM. This is our last song by Miles Knight from the EP Jake Arsenic 2C-M called Leviathan. We need to wake up and fix this planet before everybody's house is on fire. I'll see you next week.